Hi everybody, Aazam here, your transformation coach and founder of Heal the Heart. I empower you to achieve mental and emotional clarity, find your purpose and live a happier and more fulfilled life. This is another video from Bits of Inspiration where women come to inspire and empower each other. We are joined by Alex Shorts, a young woman who is very involved in the community and spreads the words of happiness and how to be happy. She's here to talk. She's an author and speaker and also a consultant. And she's here to share her story about how she got herself through depression, the dark hole of depression. And those of us who have experienced it know what I mean by the dark hole. And how only one person can make a difference in your life and take you out of the mindset that you are in. Thank you, Alex, for coming and sharing your story. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
So tell us about you and your story.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of
It's
course.
a pleasure. I first want to share that it's not always easy to talk about depression. And so sometimes I think depression, depending on the person, can mean sadness, or sadness can feel like depression. So for me, for most of my life, I didn't really realize that I was in a depression, but I knew I was really sad and I was really angry. And I was angry at a couple of things, but the major thing, like the number one thing that kind of consumed my life, was the fact that a loved one, somebody close to me, started doing drugs. And she fell into a trap, a really dark trap, because of somebody else. And that really goes to show you that it really only takes one person to either change your life for the better or change your life for the worst. And so I dealt with this pain for years, and I was raised with the notion that if you're thinking too much, it means that you're not doing enough. So I was overdoing what I would call life. And as soon as I left for college, it's like everything kind of hit me at once. And I took a step back and I said, okay, wait, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm not presentable, people don't like to hang out. And so I had to take a real dark look at myself, and I put myself into therapy once a week. I got myself a job. I was in school, but yet I was still kind of hanging out by myself. And, depression is a really difficult topic to talk on. And I think that, yet so many people fall to the idea or the feeling or just like the fact that it's being spoken about every single day. So we have little kids being like, well, I feel depressed today.
Yes.
And so the strength of what that word is meaning right now is so different from what it meant back in the day.
Yes.
So as in my journey, I fell into this dark hole for years. And it was like who would have ever thought? I didn't know what could help me. I couldn't turn to anybody. My parents were in the dark hole as well, and I was lost.
You don't want to be a burden,
Right,
additional
exactly.
burden to them. And also, just to interject here, having dealt with that, you put this mask on and you
100%.
cover your pain so well that nobody else can figure out what you're going through. I remember a friend of mine, like about 5 years after I left the situation, she goes, but you never let us know.
Yeah.
We didn't know you were going through all that. And, we're so good at that, especially as women. In general, those who are going through depression. But as women, we put this beautiful mask on and go through life and then go back and suffer as well.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I also think that there were times, and there still are times for many, that, we really do reach out to people in different ways. So even when I had these facades on, which I can agree with 100%, I was lashing out in ways that I was fighting for people's attention, and I still wasn't getting it, and so then I was becoming more angry. When in reality, all I needed to do was speak up. So I got a phone call from my mom one day, and she was like, I really need you to come out to Dallas, Texas, because you need to watch my best friend's son, and you need to sit in the family room so she can come and sit with me at this conference. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I'm not doing this. And so anyways, what happened is I got on the plane in a big hooded USC sweatshirt, and I sat in this family room with a bunch of crying kids, and I thought that I was going to literally just like go into my little cocoon. But it was all worth it, because on that very last day, I hopped on a plane coming back from Dallas to Los Angeles, and I sat next to a woman. And it just so happened that 5 years prior, I was at a conference listening to Sean Aker speak, and his wife came onto this screen. And at the time, she was pregnant with their son. And so that's kind of how I remember, is like, oh, she's pregnant. This is their firstborn. This is so great. But at the time, I was in a dark place still, where I was crawling to the bathroom, and I just didn't want to be around. Everything made me cringe. I feel it now as I'm sharing the story. And anyways, I was asleep in my chair, and this woman on the plane, spilt her seltzer water all over me. And when I looked over, I knew it was her. And it was a gift of life, a moment that I will remember forever. And it's so funny because, as I reflect on the story, we had so many similarities of how we were feeling that morning. It was early. We didn't want to sit next to each other, but it was just so serendipitous that we did. And she changed my life. And again, I take you back to, there's one person that can change your life for the worse, and there's one person that can change your life for the better.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, it's choice, right? No matter where you are in life, that is a choice that you make. And so I allowed myself to open up to this woman who was just sharing some light on me. She was sharing with me that I was already unique, that I already had light to share, that I was already on my journey. I just needed a little bit of a push into the right direction. So
to find your way.
To find my way, exactly. And that's what I was missing, my purpose. I knew what I wanted to do, what I wanted to become, like who I wanted to become, but I was missing this like circle of purpose and meaning and what it all meant that kind of drives you as a person. So she introduced me to this positive psychology program. That very next day, I signed up for the program. It was incredible, a year worth of just working on me, doing gratitudes and doing best self and doing sentence completions, where if I were 1% better every single day, what would that look like? And it was those small little practices and rituals that started transforming who I was. And I look back to when, I was in this really dark place, and I think to myself, what would it have looked like if I had these to help me just get through each day? And, thank goodness for this one person that shared that message with me.
Exactly.
Because I'm a completely different person. And even in the times where I feel sad or I feel a little bit anxious and anxiety coming up, I now have ways that I can work through that. And I have friends that I can go to. And I feel, safe to openly share and expose myself a little bit, because that's what life is all about. It's that journey. It's all those failures that have allowed me to become the person I am today. And it's the lessons. And so from that, I was like, from that thought of, well, what would this have looked like if I was young when I was going through this and I had these things? So I had this really, amazing thing happen, and now I want to share and be that hope for others.
Exactly.
So I decided to write a book, a children's book. And the book is really framed around, well, if somebody could change my life and give me the hope that I needed, then I could be that for other girls and other boys, and just anybody in the world. And a part of my mission is to really be more than myself, be a part of organizations in my hometown, spread this message to everybody, share positivity, but also share uplifting messages like, what would it look like if somebody changed your life, and how would you be
And
open
it
to
is what you said, I'm going a step back before we get to your book. Um, you said that we all have a choice. It is our choice, even in the darkest moment. It is our choice to decide: do we want to hold on to this pain, or are we willing to release it, even if we do not know how? But it is that willingness, it is that setting the intention that I want to let go of this pain, that it's going to allow us to take the next step. And you agree with me, coming back or coming out of depression is not going to be very quick.
No.
And, it is a pattern that our brain is used to, so we can allow ourselves to go back, so we can fall back into it. But it is those small steps,
Exactly.
the daily practices that we can put in place and understand that this shall also pass.
Right, exactly.
So that is why every day it is part of it for me that I will post things that are very positive or like inspirational and everything, because it helps me and I know it will help other people too. And so show us your book.
Yeah.
Both my granddaughters have this book, by the way.
So this is A Bright House, and you know what? I will also just quickly share that it wasn't overnight for me that this idea came. I very much was like you. I started posting things every day. I noticed that people were following certain things that I was doing. So whether it was a quote, whether it was a picture, whether it was just like a personal story, I noticed the people that were following each and what people were feeling from that. And I have to say that nothing takes overnight. Everything in life takes work. But at the end of the day, we also say happiness is a choice.
Yes.
Choosing to live in a depressive state is a choice. And it's really hard. I was in it for up to 2 years. And even after 2 years and going to therapy, I finally had to make the choice in therapy that I was going to stop saying all the things and stop rehashing and stop going through the same cycle so that I could move forward.
Yeah. Just very quickly there are some people probably when they hear that we are talking about it is a choice, they get angry because they say it is not a choice. I'm not here in this dark hole by choice. Yes, because there are chemicals in the brain that take you to that place. However, that little decision is your choice, and setting that intention is our choice. So that is what we are talking about. We are not talking about depression is wrong or
Right. No, exactly.
You have complete control over it and everything. It is just that we have a choice to make a decision to move out of that.
Yeah. And I think, to leave it on a very powerful note is that don't give yourself the space to go through that process. I mean, don't put the pressure on yourself to feel like you can't be depressed or you can't feel sad or you can't feel this emotion, because I feel like society holds that against us in so many ways. But instead, allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, sit in it, understand it, because then it's going to be easier to kind of go through it. And if it ever happens again, you'll know the process that it takes. And so I think that that's powerful in itself, because so often we find ourselves more than others being so critical on the fact that we're feeling this way.
Exactly. It's never ignore your emotions. Never ignore your pain. Acknowledge it. Deal with it so you can move beyond it.
Exactly.
Yes. Thank you so much, Alex.
Yeah.
I will make sure that the links to how to get her book is on the post when I post this at healtheheart.com blog post. And thank you for sharing your story. And I'm hoping that some of you who are out there, or all of you who are out there who have stories to share, please contact me at Aazam Irilian at healtheheart.com, and let's chat and get your story out there so we can inspire and empower other women to live a happier and more fulfilled life. Take care and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.